very proud of all of you. Under the Trump administration, the DOJ and the FBI will once again become the premier crime-fighting agencies on the face of the earth.
27-year-old Sophia Hayes, who had been missing for 6 months, was found this morning on an empty lot on the eastern edge of Washington.
Crime-fighting agencies on the face of the earth. 5:12 a.m. Washington, D.C. A cabinet official's house shattered 20 kilos of heroin, $40 million in cash. A murder to silence. The Secretary of the Navy vanished into darkness. Something far worse was hiding behind those walls. This is where America woke up. Let me show you. Because the level of corrupt things that we learned after that turned out to be that they were doing, in fact, really bad things. He was a terrible person, did terrible things. 5:12 a.m. Washington. Rain clung to the pavement and the neighborhood slept. Then headlights appeared, quiet and deliberate. Unmarked SUVs slid to a stop in front of the home of the Secretary of the Navy. Agents moved fast and focused. There was no knock, no warning. A steel battering ram struck the entrance. One blow. Two. On the third impact, the oak door collapsed with splintering across the foyer. FBI and DEA agents poured inside flashlights, cut through the darkness. Every room was searched. Drawers ripped open behind the quiet furniture and family photos. There was nothing peaceful. Agents found 20 kilograms of heroin stacked in plastic wrap and $40 million in cash sealed inside black duffel bags in a locked cabinet were shipping documents with cartel codes. But the most shocking discovery was the emptiness. Secretary of the Navy, Jackson Reed, was gone. No note, no phone, no trace. Only a powerful man who had vanished into the night. If you want the full truth behind what happened in Washington, hit like so this story reaches more people. The investigation did not begin with drugs or money. It began 6 months earlier with a missing woman, Sophia Hayes, 27, bright, ambitious, and suddenly gone. Her friends reported her disappearance after she stopped answering messages. At first, it looked like a simple missing person case. Detectives reviewed.
Because a level of corrupt things that we learned after that turned out to be that they were doing, in fact, really bad things. He was a terrible person, did terrible things.
5:12. Sophia Hayes was 27, bright, ambitious, and building a future she never had the chance to live. She vanished without a warning. At first, detectives believed it was a simple missing person case. But as they reviewed footage from restaurants, hotels, and secure buildings across Washington, one pattern appeared again and again. Sophia was never alone. Every video showed her beside the same man, Secretary of the Navy, Jackson Reed. They walked together, dined together, entered elevators side by side, and in recovered text messages, Sophia hinted she had something important to reveal, something she feared. Then her phone went silent. 2 days later, an early morning call came in. A body had been discovered on an empty lot at the edge of the city. It was Sophia. She was 2 months pregnant. There were no signs of robbery, no struggle, nothing missing but time. Someone had wanted her quiet. What had begun as a missing person case was now homicide, and every trail led back to the man who had mysteriously vanished hours before federal agents stormed his home. Once the news reached federal headquarters, the reaction was immediate and severe. A missing official was urgent. A murdered woman was critical. But a high-ranking Navy leader fleeing after a drug raid was unprecedented. Reed had access to military routes, port schedules, and secure transport channels. If he was running, the danger was larger than any single crime. Agencies across Washington, Maryland, and Virginia activated emergency protocols. Teams spread out across airports, ports, marinas, and hotels. Then came the breakthrough. Credit card activity appeared near the coast. A rental car heading south. Highway cameras captured a lone driver moving fast. The face was blurred, but the posture, the build, it was Reed. He wasn't hiding. He was escaping. The chase shifted from highways to open water. Coast Guard cutters moved into formation. Border Patrol boats swept the shoreline. A helicopter scanned the waves from above. The Gulf looked empty, just black water rolling beneath the night sky, until night vision picked up movement. A small speedboat, slashed through the darkness. Engines roared as agents closed in. Warning shots cracked across the water. "Stop the engine! Hands visible!" Voices shouted through loudspeakers. But the man at the wheel didn't stop. He pushed harder, eyes locked on the open horizon, the only place left where he believed he could outrun disgrace, prison, and the headlines that awaited him. Then, in an instant, everything changed. A trailing line caught the propeller. The engine coughed, seized, and died. The boat lurched violently. Federal agents boarded within seconds. They found him slumped on the deck, drenched in salt water, breathing hard. There was no fight left in him. No escape. Jackson Reed, once considered untouchable, raised his hands in quiet defeat. Handcuffs clicked shut. Radios across Washington echoed the same message: subject in custody. But the victory didn't bring relief. Instead, investigators found something chilling. The evidence pulled from Reed's home, encrypted drives, burned phones, coded notes, didn't just point to one man. It revealed a network, a system built over 5 years, hidden beneath the surface of official work. Reed had created 2 lives: the one the public saw, polished and honorable, and the one he lived in secret, managing a criminal operation that stretched across multiple states. And even with Reed behind bars, that network was still alive. By 2:14 a.m., a command center in Washington lit up with red markers. Analysts traced names, addresses, storage units, and warehouses tied to Reed's hidden operation. What they uncovered wasn't a trail. It was a blueprint for a criminal empire built inside American infrastructure. The order went out immediately, hit every location before sunrise. Convoys rolled out across Washington, Maryland, and Virginia. Empty streets echoed with the controlled precision of federal teams moving in unison. Every target had to be secured at the exact same moment. If even one suspect slipped away, the entire structure could scatter. The first strike hit a commercial building disguised as an abandoned logistics company. The exterior looked forgotten, dusty shutters, a faded sign. But inside, boxes were stacked from floor to ceiling. Some were filled with papers. Others held black-wrapped bricks, matching the heroin found in Reed's home. Several men surrendered quietly. They knew the empire was collapsing. The second location was deceptive. A peaceful suburban house with a perfect lawn and children's toys outside. But the basement told the truth: servers, encrypted routers, surveillance feeds. When agents breached the home, 2 men bolted toward a hidden exit. Neither made it far. More raids followed. A locked warehouse near the interstate, a secluded lakeside cabin used for nighttime meetings, storage units rented under fake identities. Each location added another piece to the puzzle. But the faces stunned investigators even more than the evidence. Some suspects were hardened criminals with long histories. Others looked nothing like cartel affiliates. They wore press suits. They carried federal ID badges. They worked inside customs, procurement, and port administration. People trusted to protect the nation had quietly been protecting Reed. By noon, dozens of arrests were complete. Money counted, trucks impounded, documents scanned. But one question grew louder with every discovery. By midday, the investigation had shifted from a criminal case to a full national security emergency. The drugs and money were shocking, but what investigators uncovered next was far worse. Jackson Reed had not acted alone. He had built a system that thrived inside the very institutions meant to stop crime. On the surface, Reed lived as a decorated official, medals, ceremonies, and speeches about duty and honor. But beneath that polished exterior, he commanded smugglers, fugitives, and violent enforcers who worked quietly under his direction. The strangest part was that many of his helpers weren't criminals at all. They were trusted government employees, customs agents, port inspectors, procurement officers, people with families, steady incomes, clean backgrounds, and top-level clearances. By day, they were ordinary workers. At night, they followed instructions from a hidden chain of command. They didn't need weapons. Reed had given them something far more powerful: paperwork. Illegal shipments were disguised as official cargo. Forms were filed correctly. Containers were stamped with legitimate signatures. Patrol schedules were quietly altered. Every detail looked ordinary because it was ordinary on paper. Reed didn't break the system. He used it. After the raids, a new command center came alive. Digital maps connected ports, offices, warehouses, and homes across multiple states. Every red line eventually led back to Reed. What stunned officials most was the simplicity. This wasn't a violent gang hiding in the shadows. It was a web built inside everyday procedures. Some employees claimed they had no idea what they were involved in. Others stayed silent. A few tried to flee before their names surfaced. None got far. Encrypted group chats revealed coded conversations, drop points, inspection windows, cleared containers, and warnings about patrols. These weren't amateurs. They were professionals, organized, efficient, confident. One message stood out. Red Pear.